Today, I'm going to be telling a couple of night terror stories, and then at the end, after discussion, I'm going to give my own personal, short, but scary night terrors too. Okay, so when we think about it, what is a dream? No one ever thinks to ask. But there's people out there that do. And the ones that do, like myself and like my girlfriend, they can be premonitions. My own belief is that they are parallel universes with our conscience. So obviously we can see through someone else. And I think when our body goes to sleep, our conscience is always awake. So it has to leave and find somewhere else to kind of like stay until the body wakes back up. So today's story is pretty amazing, and I think you guys will like it too. I've read this one, but I've not read the second one that I'm going to read to you guys. And so this is by Reddit user CMB Writing, and the title is I Met a Man from My Night Terrors. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. This story spans many years of my life, starting at age 4. To kick it off, I like to say my whole life I had been plagued with night terrors. Strange but accurate. Premonitions and seeing things that others don't. But I am not diagnosed with schizophrenia despite having discussed the possibility with a psychiatric. Can never say that word. I don't know. You know what I mean. Starting at the age of 4, I had the same night terror multiple times a week. This wasn't a nightmare. It was much worse. I could feel everything in extreme detail, including the ending of the dream. Me getting stabbed in the stomach with a dagger. I could feel this to the level where I would wake up screaming, crying, and sometimes physically paralyzed in pain. When I was 7 years old, this paralysis was so bad that my family had to take me to the hospital. I ended up suffering a pain-induced seizure from how bad it hurt. This night terror was weird because unlike things I see, it was realistic. It seemed real. It went like this. I was sat in the back of my dad's Zuzu Trooper in our driveway, which is quite secluded from everywhere around us. My sister, who was 3 years older than me, would hop into the car beside me. My mother would get into the front seat, then my father would approach the car. But before he could get in, a really large man, around 7 feet or so tall, who was extremely muscular, with tan skin, long black dreadlocks, and bright blue eyes, would stab him sideways through the neck. The man would then walk up and sit in the driver's seat of our car. With one quick motion, he would slit the throat of my mother and turn to my sister and I. With a massive smile on his face, he would always say the same thing, even though it makes no sense to me. He would say, "I think I like this more than you." Marveling at the dagger in his hand, he would proceed to stab my sister multiple times, covering me in warm blood, which I swear I could feel. And then he would stab me in the stomach, and I would wake up screaming in agony and terror. There were lots of weird things about this dream that happened over the years. When I was 11, my father bought me a present from the Renaissance Festival, a dagger that looked exactly like the one from my sketches of my night terror, a pentacle, not a pentagram, with the point facing the blade and an iron cross on the hilt with a red gem in it. Since my dad got me it, I slept with it next to my bed, and somehow the night terror stopped. It was weird, but there's more. The first time I remember meeting the Goliath seen in my dreams was when I was 7. A week or two after that time, I had to go to the hospital. We were in a Safeway, and that's a grocery store for anybody that wants to know, and he was pushing a cart. I started crying in public out of pure fear. I told my dad about everything from my dreams, and he saw the man. And since I was a kid, he just directed me away from him and said, "Don't worry, this isn't a dream." The next time I met the man was truly terrifying and very scary for me. I was 12 years old. My dad and I were going to Safeway again to get food. We got out of the car, the trooper still, when a man yelled, "Get back in the car!" I threw myself back into the car, and my dad and I saw, at the same time, a police officer with a gun pointed past us. We both ducked in the car and looked out the window. And there he was, the same dang Goliath of a man, piercing blue eyes, dark tan skin, long black dreadlocks, and built like a house. In his hand was a pistol, which he fired aimlessly at the police. My dad and I witnessed this man be shot multiple times by the police. As a 12-year-old, that was pretty scary, and I could still see it in detail until this day. But even my dad says it looked exactly like the man from my dreams. But he was dead. He was gone, right in front of my eyes. Fast forward to a few months ago. I'm 18. My sister moved to Canada for college. I've been free of almost all my strange instances for 2 years now. No weird premonitions. I haven't had sleep paralysis. Hadn't seen anything that wasn't there. And no night terrors. One night, the dream came back. It was scarier than ever, though. It was more scary than ever, though. My sister was still 7 years old in it, but my parents and I had aged. The man, he was covered in blood. It was matted in his hair, splashed all over his face, torso, arms, and everything. He had 3 bullet holes in his chest, but he was walking, and he did the same things. Killed my dad, killed my mom. Then he looked at me. He looked at me in the eyes and said, "I'm not dead yet. I think I still like this more than you." He proceeded to kill my sister, then me, and I woke up paralyzed in agony and covered in tears. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. I was at the same Safeway as previously mentioned, but I have driven there myself now. I'm able to. I was just buying lunch for my family, but there he was, sitting outside, smoking. He and I made direct eye contact, at which point he stood up startlingly fast. Let's just say I booked it out of there and have not gone to that place since. I don't know what that man is. I don't even know if he's real. Anyone have any ideas? Man, what do you guys think that is? What do you think? Obviously, that kid was getting premonitions because he was going to be in danger. And I think sometimes life throws premonitions at you so you're prepared, so you're ready in case something does happen that was similar to whatever dreams that you're having. I can definitely say that he's a lucky kid. I don't know how come the cops didn't play a part in his dream or anything like that, but I wonder what the significance is of that man and the kid. Makes you really think. And I mean, I don't know what I would do if I was in that guy's place. I mean, this all started from when he was about 7, 11, 12, and then as he got a little older. And it's just amazing, honestly. But definitely give me your comments on what you thought about that story, and if you have any crazy, scary night terrors that are repetitive, or any premonitions that you've had, definitely send them my way. You can either private message me any of those, or any supernatural paranormal stories also. And you can send that to realsne_stories@yahoo.com. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Back with the second story that I have for you guys. This is by Reddit user xcrazyx46. It's called "If You See Me Again, I'll Kill You." I woke up in a hospital corridor, looking both ways, dark and empty. As soon as I went towards one direction, these humanoid creatures started to appear out of nowhere. They were lanky humanoids that haven't eaten in years, bony and skeletal, their skins gray and pale as if they haven't seen the light of day in years. Where their eyes should have been were empty and black sockets, mouths opening up beyond what humans could do. That's pretty scary. All increasing in numbers as I ran through the hallways. This is until I felt it. I had to stop. My fight or flight told me to stop, right there, right now, in my tracks. I felt a presence behind me, a dark, ominous presence. I had no choice. I turned around. A shadow as tall as a 3-story building stood before me. I couldn't say anything, just frozen in place. That thing told me, if I ever see you again, I will kill you. These creatures are not harming you because I told them not to. Now run. You bet your ass I ran. I passed a door that strangely led to my first house. Living room at the bottom and kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom at the top. When I passed the living room, my twin sister was asleep on the couch in front of the television. I ran into the bathroom, and as I turned to close the bathroom door, an old lady was atop our living room couch. That's when I started to hear whispers. At first, I couldn't understand what they were saying. That old lady isn't a man. Don't trust them. While I was in the bathroom, the shower curtain was poked from the inside. Even though I knew nobody else was in there, I pulled the curtains and there was my sister. How did you get in there? I asked her. Her face was pale, her features sullen. I died in my sleep. Wow. That's a creepy nightmare. I don't know if I'd definitely wake up scared on that one. Think about it. You got these pale Wendigo creatures. That's what he described. With gaping mouths, wider than any human can do. Running at them, right? Running at this kid. And as he's running, his consciousness, or whatever it is, talking to him, tells him to stop. His fight or flight. And that's just this huge shadow, 3-story building. That is tall. That's like 15 foot maybe. I don't know. I'm bad with math. But that 3-story building of a shadow said the only reason they're not attacking you is because I'm telling them not to. That's just wow. Let me relook over that. Man, what have you guys? Man, that's all I got. I'm speechless. Yeah, definitely give me your opinion about that story too. This guy hasn't reported about any more of the same nightmare or so, but he said it was very vivid. Maybe it was a premonition. Maybe it wasn't nothing but a nightmare. But we'll never know. Okay, so I wanted just to say I got a short, kind of really short story of my nightmare. It's not even really a story. But when I was about 9 years old, I had one really bad nightmare. And hold on. I had one physical nightmare. When I say physical, you'll understand when I explain the other part. But I only had this nightmare once. And it was pretty creepy. I was 7 or 9 years old. I think 7. And I was in a classroom. And there was nobody in there beside the teacher. And it was quiet. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing footsteps coming down the hallway. For whatever reason, that was scaring the living crap out of me. And my fear of fight or flight kicked in, and I went to go hide. And so, as the steps were coming, it's like I already knew what was out there that was coming for me. And in my mind, or what I was perceiving that it was going to be, was this evil-looking clown. And so as this clown was coming down the hall, I'm like, he's going to eat or kill me. And this was before I ever watched the It movie. But Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps was out in '97. So, I mean, that could have played a part because there was a really good episode that involved like a clown, I think. But so I hurried up and ran and hid under the desk behind the teacher, like in front of the teacher, under the little desk area. And I'm like, I don't want to see this. I even closed my eyes in my dream. And as soon as it was about to walk in the through the doorway into the classroom, I was so scared I woke up. If that was another world, I died from a heart attack. But that was, and I woke up. I have never asked to sleep in my parents' room in my life, but that one in particular night, I did. I slept on the floor next to my parents' bed. I was like, "Hey, can I come and sleep in here? I had a nightmare." And they're like, "Yeah, go ahead, come in here." And then I slept on the floor. Now there's this one dream. I used to always ask people if they've ever had it because I had this one continuously and I don't know what it meant. I don't know what it means. But with the way I think and how I'm very spiritual and I see life through a lot of different ways. Like we live in a world that's covered in a veil where we are told what is normal and what is not, and we're controlled. And if we believed our experiences and seen the things that most people don't believe we've seen, like monsters and demons and aliens and all that stuff, we would live in a more understanding world, and I think that would help people to be able to talk about these experiences and when they have these dreams, because they could mean something. So, starting when I was, I want to say like 5 all the way up to 12. No, 5 all the way up to 10. I would have the same recurring nightmare every so often. And I don't know what it is, but it was a dark room, okay? And I couldn't see anything. And you know that feeling you get when you're drunk? Or know what I'm talking about, where it's like a spin feeling, so you're spinning? Well, it was almost like a pinwheel, but I could be wrong. And it was spinning, and they were repeating a phrase, a word, or a number. I always told people it was a number because that's the closest thing to what I could interpret. And it was like saying like either 3 or 9. And to remind you, my birthday is in September, which is 9. 12th of September, 1990. And so it would go, and it would be like, I'll just give like a example. So it's dark, but it's like my visual was spinning, right? And at the same time, I'm watching something else spin at the same time. And it's almost like a DMT trip. And then I'm hearing 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and it gets louder and louder to the point. It's terrifying, and it's just like, oh, I would wake up every time and feel so scared, and I don't know why. I mean, for something not to have images, but sound, which were made of frequency, which would make sense. But to repeat something, I don't know what I was scared of, what it meant. I wish I can go back and try to remember. I'd like to go to some type of hypnosis therapy or past regression therapy and see if they can bring up some sort of time where I was dreaming that. Because I really would like to try to figure out what it was and face that fear of whatever it was. But if you have any ideas or opinions what you think that could have been, I would love to hear them. But that concludes my stories for today. If you have any nightmare stories, paranormal stories, supernatural stories, cryptid stories. It's endless. Send them my way. You can send them to SNE_stories or you can private message me on my Facebook group chat called Real Supernatural Encounters. And that concludes our story time. So, hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later.